Hello everyone, welcome to Super Sundays with FSM Trading. My name is Troy, and as always we're going to get straight into the charts. Here we have the weekly time frame of euro dollar. As always, we go through the weekly time frame every week. So looking at not last week's candle but the prior week's candle, that was a nice bullish candle, just taking out the highs from 13th of April, producing a swing failure, so showing that prices would move lower. But moving on to last week's candle, it was bearish but quite indecisive. Price didn't push below the lows of that prior week's candle, so a little bit indecisive. If you look at the bigger picture, the Fibonacci on the weekly time frame, you can see prices just trading around the 38.2, not able to push higher. So we're still looking bearish on euro dollar on the weekly time frame. If we now go to the daily, this was, I think, Friday of last week's candle. So we saw that price did push above this high here from the 15th of April, but failed to close below. So we can see that that's a swing failure, showing that price is looking to now move lower. So with that in mind, we did say look for shorts from where I've marked out price there. So look for shorts from that's where the price did close, and last week, as you can see, it did follow through with some nice bearish price action. So if we now move on to the 4-hour time frame, what we can see, if I zoom all the way out and show you the bigger picture, we did get obviously previously a break of that trend line just here. Price moved higher, came up to just take this high out here, and once again we did get prices moving lower once more. So if we just mark out this here for you, we haven't had like a sort of solid third touch of this, so that's where price could look to be head higher towards before we do get shorts. Now personally, I would look to get short, as we are still bearish, from around, this looks like a little bit of mini resistance, but I'd look for slightly higher stops around 60 pips, and targets, as this is a longer time frame move, looking for, watch sort of the 107.65 level for some sort of support, but ideally our first key area of support is 106.36, giving a nice 4.7 to 1. So that is what we're looking for at the moment on euro dollar. We're still bearish, but as you can see, price is just struggling to push lower. It's just looking for something to drive it a little bit lower. It's looking for a catalyst just to push it much lower. Some of you may put this trend line here, but personally speaking, I do use the wicks itself. So even then, it doesn't have a retest of this trend line just yet. And the reason why I put stops here is a bit tight. You could, if you wanted to be conservative, put it at the high here. It still gives you a 3.1 to 1 risk reward. The reason I put it there is because this is what we had marked out as our level of resistance. Ideally you want to put it as here. I personally might look to even go down to the 1 hour and get an even tighter entry closer up to this levels if it does get there. But nonetheless, if I do see price react from either this level here at 109.25, or if it does go higher, whatever it does, I will look for relevant price action to show that it wants to go lower. So on the 1 hour, maybe even a half an hour, look for, you know, bearish engulfings, shooting stars, etc., for price to show its hand basically. Okay, that's that for euro dollar. Next we're going to move to euro yen. So for euro yen, if we go to the weekly time frame first, as always. So weekly time frame, what we're looking for here, last week bearish candle, nice and bearish, so basically showing that us trying to call a little bit of a short term or medium term bullish move was a bit premature. Okay, so showing us here, you know, always follow the trend. So just is it in a downtrend, and last week's candle was also a bearish engulfing. However, price wasn't able to close below the previous 2 weeks lows, or close below the low that it did touch. I did mark out this yellow line to show that there's a previous level of support is unable to break below that support. So here we've been a bit of a difficult situation, because price is looking bearish on all time frames, but it's coming to a major key support. How we play it here, we look for continued shorts, but of course if it does break above any structure, then we'll look for longs. So with that in mind, looking for Right, so I'll put a Fibonacci on here just to show you what I'm looking for. Fibonacci from there, bottom just here. If I just take this out of the way to make it clearer for everyone. Right, so it's looking to come up to this area here around the 61.8. That's what we'll look to get short or put stops just above the 78.6. As you know, also euro dollar and euro yen looking short, so looking for short on euro pairs. Okay, right, so ideally would have stops around about there, and then obviously going down to, first of all, the first point would be the 114.37. That's where we watch it for some sort of support, but for our extension targets, 113.45 gives us a 3-to-1, and 112.25 gives us a nice 4-to-1. So that's what we're looking for. We're going to continue with the current trend. If you wanted to be a bit more aggressive, you can scale down to maybe a 4-hour, 1 hour, look to see what you might be able to find. So then you might have stops a bit tighter, possibly around here. Your entry might even be a bit higher up as well to give you tighter stops, or you can wait to see if price does form a trend line, and then will it break that trend line. So that's how you sort of look to play things on all different time frames. This has had a first touch, second touch, third touch, so once it does break, you can short straight away, or if you want to be, you know, further conservative, you can wait for it to have a pullback, and then take shorts from there. But once again, we are back to trading the longer term bias, looking for shorts. As you can see, price is not looking to show any signs of reversal, to have any, you know, bit of reprieve or pullback, or, you know, enough for us to trade. So just look to trade with the trend basically. Finally, we're going to look at dollar CAD. So if we go to the weekly time frame, dollar CAD, as you can see here, I'll just zoom in a bit more for you. Right, yeah, so weekly looking very bearish at last week's candle. Yeah, nice bearish, nice candle there. Price did come up higher and then push lower, and this is actually not quite a Maribosi because it didn't close at the low, but the close was very close to the low. The closing price was 139.159. The low was 139.085. So that's literally a 7.4 pip difference between the low and the close of the candle, and that's pretty minuscule on a weekly time frame. So if we go to the daily time frame now, nice bearish engulfing up here. We're looking to get short from where we've marked out this level here. We had a nice trend line break. I will go through that again on the 4-hour and 1 hour and see what went wrong there, but nonetheless the bias is correct. The first take profit target is 137.50, and that still stands, and then after that we'll look for lower prices at around 136.70. so 137.50 and 136.60 is what we're looking for on the downside for this currency pair. Right, so 4 hour, as you can see, we had a nice little trend line break, more evident on the 1 hour time frame. This was a little bit of mini sort of resistance. How the price did just push a bit higher through it before it came down. Now if you're trading this actively, as you see price do this up here and then come down, you're not now going to trade it at this with this same stop loss and take an entry point. You potentially have looked to get short from where it broke and have a stop loss above this high, preferably above this high here, because you know you wouldn't want to have it above the most recent high because it's not necessarily a valid high unless it makes a new lower low. So that's where you have to stop. Entry would be a bit higher up, so you should be in profit if you use your initiative to trade this currency pair. Let me just draw that across. You'd be in a little bit of profit. You had a nice little drawdown here, but price did then push much lower. So this is where it gets a bit clearer. Right, 1 hour. Don't know why it's been moved. Yeah, 1 hour time frame. As you can see, retest was here. This is a nice shooting star here. This is where what we've been saying to you over the past sort of few weeks about scaling down to different time frames. This is a perfect example. Right, it's broken here, retested here. This is the confirmation that this trend line is valid. It's retested it and closed like this. This is pretty much a shooting star. you'd get short from there 10 o'clock in the morning. So that would have closed at 11 o'clock. You get short pretty much at the close of this candle. Once again, I just said your stop loss would be above the high around here. So you could, you know, around here, I like to use round numbers, so 142.10 would be where I'll put it. Yep, as you can see, it didn't come close. It went out to 141.73. Okay, so you have a bit of breathing room there, and that's a 110 stop loss. It's quite wide, but you know, in this current climate when prices are being choppy, you want to stick to the higher time frames. If price is moving quite cleanly, you can scale down to low time frames and then get to have tighter stops. But as you can see here, it came down, whipped straight back up to take out people that were short from here and had tight stop losses, and then moved a lot lower. So that's what our entry would be. Stop loss like that, you currently be in quite a bit of profit. So the pips profit you'd be roughly in is 180 pips. That is a lovely trade so far. You'd be just over 1.5 R up. So with risk reward, the amount you'd be in profit is 1.5 rewards to the risk that you took. So if you took 2% risk, you'd be up you'd be up my maths is a bit 3.2 percent you'd be up right now, which is quite nice. So first target is always going to be the start of the trend line, so 138.55, and then you look for prices to move lower. If it does break this level here, this is a nice strong level, you'll look for there's not a lot in the way lower. Okay, there's not a lot in the way lower in terms of support. If you look, this is a fast move, there's a gap here, so they look to fill this gap. I'd look for prices around 137.28, and then for it to fill this gap and get to around 134.68, around about there. So a lot to the downside. If it does break this double bottom, we will hold this for quite some time. So you should be in profit on this if you use an initiative. Don't just take our trades blindly. I don't use a set and forget strategy. I like to look for price action confirmation when I enter the market. So if we want to look for another entry, if I just delete this now, price may, it has done already, but it may once again pull back to this sort of level here. And look, what I like to do is I mark the low, or the low of this area, as the low of this point here. So the lowest point, you can see I've marked out general area where price came to and rebounded, and the low of the zone is the low of this candle. And as you can see, it just touched it and shot much lower. What time of day is this? So 8 p.m. I may not have entered. Just because of the time of day. Wouldn't have been around. If you were doing set and forget, you might have got short in there. Stop loss, you can either play it really aggressive and have it just above the zone, which is quite risky. I wouldn't do that. And the reason why I wouldn't have entered anyways, because the stop loss would have been too wide. Would have been 167 pips or so. Or you could have tried to use Fibonacci, but it didn't retrace enough. So all these things we do teach you on the course about retracements, where to put stop losses and all that sort of stuff. It didn't retrace far enough for us to use Fibonacci to find a stop loss placement. So it would have to been the thing where you use the aggressive approach and have your stop loss around 40 pips, which means you'd be up around just over 2 risks reward. Okay, so and ultimately you're looking for prices that we did mention before, with 138.60 sorry, and 137 where was it much lower. Okay, so that's what we're looking for this week. Bearish on dollar CAD. Please do use your initiative when you're trading these things that we do place on YouTube. It's not advice, we're not giving away financial advice, but we're just showing you our bias and what we do believe will happen to price. And yeah, so if you do trade these, use your initiative. Also make sure it aligns with your own bias and your own analysis, just to make sure you're learning as you go along. But also please do contact us for mentoring and courses. We do have face-to-face courses, so in person after lockdown, of course, and we do have the online course as well, so you can learn at your own pace in your own time from the comfort of your own home. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We hope you did enjoy this episode. Please leave likes, comments, please do subscribe, and let us know what you want us to analyze in next week's episode. Thanks, guys. Bye.